Welcome, everyone. I'm Denise O'Malley, the founder of You Define Wellness, and today is our monthly town hall meeting. And our town hall meeting is when I get to bring to you one of my friends in the world of business for healers and introduce you to them, share with you some great knowledge that's going to help you out in your business. If this is all free, of course, we invite you to join in the comment section on Facebook Live. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave your comments like you have a YouTube video, and we'll be hopefully getting the notifications and answering them as quickly as we possibly can. So, as I said, I want to do this as a way to introduce you to the people I know who I feel are experts and that can actually support you in your healing business. So I have invited John Tornetta. He is the guru, the founder, the inventor of this organization called MedKit. And John, I would like to start first. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about what MedKit is for those who are kind of curious and haven't heard about it before?
Yeah, basically what MedKit does is we help private practices succeed in the digital age. So what that basically means is we take off of private healthcare providers' plates all of the stuff that gets in the way of patient care. So for example, you can delegate social media to us. We'll run and redesign your website. We'll get you 5-star ratings and reviews. We do a lot of technical stuff that really gets in the way of what healthcare is all about, and that's caring for the patient or the client.
You know, I've worked with hundreds of health and wellness professionals, from those who have an office with a staff and the patients are coming into it, to those who are virtual and they're just one-person shops. And universally, this is something that they all complain about. So, John, what we did is we took a poll on LinkedIn and Facebook, and we asked people, what are the things that are important to you to know about? And the first thing that they talked about was above the fold. And okay, we're showing our age. I'm saying it that way because, you know, this refers to the newspaper of what's on the front page above where it folds, right? For those, I'm just explaining that for those who've never heard of it before. So John, tell us what's important about above the fold.
Sure. So like you said, above the fold is all of the stuff, as I'm going to define it, that shows up on the screen when you first visit a website. So the fold is going to be slightly different on a mobile device from a desktop device. And I'll go ahead and share my screen in a second, but it's critical that what goes above the fold is your most important stuff. Denise, are you able to see my screen okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and skip through some of this stuff. You know, there's one glaring sort of problem that we often run into with healthcare providers specifically. It's not easy for people to realize that where their contact information is. It's critical that you've got a phone number, a make an appointment button, an email address above the fold. So that means it's clearly visible on the first page. Ideally, you actually want to include this information in your header, which will persist across your website. Across multiple pages of your website. If you don't have the ability to do that, it's got to be clearly listed above the fold. You might have your contact information well displayed. If that's the case, it's really important to make sure that you're describing to everyone in the world what it is you do. Set your ego aside, leave it at the door. You probably don't have it if you're in healthcare, you care about other people, but this is an opportunity to tell people what you do in one sentence as clearly as possible. Luckily, if you're a care provider, you're working with local geographies. And when someone has back pain or when someone is looking for counseling, they're looking in their area and what they know what they want. They know they want a chiropractor. They know they want a counselor or physical therapy. So it's key to just say that. I do one-on-one physical therapy. I am an empathetic chiropractor, and just maybe include the region that you service. You got to put this big font above the fold, first screen, say what you do, make it clearly visible. One thing that we often also see is that a lot of people, it's been a trend for several years, have been cluttering that homepage up with a whole bunch of images, a whole bunch of sliding images. If you're starting out, do not use sliders. Don't put a whole bunch of distracting sliding images on your screen. It will just take away from your ultimate goal, which is to direct one of your visitors to make an appointment, request a call, do something that allows you to care for them. So sliders are also slow. They drag your website speed down. They hurt conversions, distracting. That being said, I'm going to put a disclaimer here. We do build sliders for certain clients, and then there's reasons for that. But if you're just starting out, perhaps you have a smaller business, trying to figure out what to put on your initial website, don't include sliders.
Interesting. Okay.
Sure. Now you might say, okay, maybe Denise, you're like, okay, well, hold on. Like this is the MedKit website. If you guys can see it, like you guys have a slider. This is not a slider. This is a vector animation that's computed by the browser real time. So there are ways to get things interactive on your website that are low cost in terms of website speed. And those are usually more expensive and time consuming. But if you're just starting out, you're using a what you see is what you get sort of website editor, or you don't want to spend a ton of time on this. You want to focus on care. What you want to do is just have one clear image, perhaps of yourself or of like a nice nature scenery, perhaps smiling people. Stock image is okay, and then explain what you do in sort of a tagline or title, as we showed on the last slide. It's really important to also have some options, because people have different needs. And that's where your website menu comes in. It gets people to different sections of your website. Generally speaking, you don't want to have a diner menu, okay? You never know what to get, okay? I look at these diner menus and I'm like, I just sit there for like an hour. I have no idea what to get. Everything looks good or everything looks bad. I don't know. Have six menu options for people to pick from at the top of your website. It's a good rule of thumb. 3 of those should be generally like contact us, something where someone can get in touch with you, an about section, which will host your story, what sets you apart. People care about that, especially if you're a counselor, if you're a therapist, if you're a massage therapist. People want to know who you are and they want to be able to trust you. So that about section is going to be really important. And then the third menu item of the 6 that we recommend is something that's interactive, like a blog, a video blog, a podcast. This is good for SEO, which I hate as a term. It's a buzzword, but it's good for SEO. But really what it means is like it's good for people to see that you're regularly producing content. Search engines want what other people want, and so they show them that stuff. And so that shows you're like an interactive business. You're doing well. Okay,
so stop there for a second. So the SEO drives me crazy, and that's for the experts. But what you're saying is that these search engines are looking for current content as to when they're putting you in there. So if you've created a website 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and you haven't done anything to it, that's hurting your SEO.
Yes. Not only that, and there's 2 aspects to that. You want to start as soon as possible, because SEO is a function that's based upon time. So if you just create a website, your SEO is not going to be good. However, it's a time function and an interactivity function. So if you don't have any content for a period of 2 years, like it doesn't look good for Google or DuckDuckGo or Bing to send people to a website that is irrelevant and no one's going to anymore. So both of those things are important to keep in mind. Have it up as soon as possible, and you don't need to update it like every day, but have a plan to get stuff on it on a monthly, a weekly, an appropriate frequency for the sort of the cadence of your business.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question that is pertaining to the You Define Wellness website. And one of the things that we've discovered is providers are saying to us, wow, I'm now the top search. When somebody Googles in what they're looking for, I come up to the top because I'm on the You Define Wellness website. And I'm going to say that that's because we're in there making changes every single day.
And not only that, Denise, you're really helping people, and like you're producing a ton of content on a whole bunch of different channels. That's the most important thing you can do. And like I actually had a disclaimer. I should probably go to it like at the beginning of this presentation. Your website is not the most important part of your business. You are. And so, people that will tell you otherwise are trying to sell you something. And, it's really important. Oops, I went a little too far. It's really important that you not put all of your eggs in that website basket. It is perhaps the most important marketing asset that you as your business could own right now, but it is not going to make or break it could break your business, but it will not make your business.
Okay.
Yeah, and I should also probably say with the other disclaimers here, don't sue me. I'm not an attorney, so we're gonna talk about ratings and reviews at some point. Denise shared with me some of the poll results, and it's important to chat with your local compliance, ethics board, compliance folks, attorney, and then
don't make any guarantees that you're going to cure them. Yeah,
and no guarantees here. Everyone's different. Everything's very unique, so you just keep all of that in mind.
Okay. Sorry, I made you go backwards.
Oh no, you're good. One thing I should probably say, we're on this section, like if anyone would like a copy of this presentation, go ahead and email us, info@medica.com, text us, send a message to Denise. We'll all have this. Yeah. And you can get a copy of anything we're going over here. And then Denise, one thing I should probably say before we continue above the fold is like depending on who you are, you may want to build your website you'll likely want to build your website in different ways. So if you're just starting, like we get this question a lot, what should I use to build my website? If this is a part-time business, you're just starting, you don't have staff, you're testing constantly, you don't want to put a whole lot of money in something that might not work. Right. Use a what's called a what you see is what you get website editor. Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, great options. However, once you get to a certain point where like this business is working, I'm going to go the distance on this, I have confidence, I'm full-time, I can cover my costs, maybe I've got a staff, employee, partner. You want to transition to an asset that your business owns, because if you don't own it, someone else does. And that's a huge risk. So the nice thing about WordPress, in addition to it controlling, owning 30% of all web traffic, is it's open source and highly customizable. So you own it. If you have you can bring in a partner to do impressive stuff with it. And if that partner leaves, you still own it. And no one can change that on you as easily, I should say. And then, if you have a whole bunch of staff, different rules apply. You want to probably, build something custom. So anyhow, back to above the fold. So after you've figured out your menu, you want to really think about your differentiator. This is like one of those buzzwords, differentiators. Like as it applies to your website, what we like to say is these are the things that they're discrete, verifiable objects that let people know why you're cool, why you're awesome, why you can really help them. A bad differentiator is like, on some websites, like we provide, a high integrity service at a low cost and a fair price for Americans. Everyone says that, and that's not good. What works really well for in healthcare, luckily, is you can talk about the number of people you've treated over 5 years. You'd say 155-star reviews. One of our clients is a chiropractor, 155-star reviews, 25 years of experience. That's the kind of things people who are seeing you want to like, oh, I feel comfortable with my health, and someone who's been doing this for 25 years and has 150 people saying this is awesome. And if you don't have that, that's okay. On the right side, we have one of our massage therapist clients, like just talk about the thing that you do that's so special and unique. It's highly personalized, free add-on services, vaccinated. Other people are not necessarily saying that, and consumers may go to the vaccinated therapist over the unvaccinated one, or may go to the one that offers add-on services over the one that you have to pay extra for each and everything. So those are things that you can weave in if you don't have a large track record yet.
Oh, that's great.
Sure. There's a whole bunch more, and I should technically say differentiators probably won't fit above the fold. So this is like, I'm bending the rules a little bit here. This is really what should be right beneath the above the fold content. So it's important enough to bring up in this section though.
But something where they don't have to search for it and dive through everything. It's right there. It's easy to find. Exactly.
And then there's a whole bunch of additional stuff we talk about. I think Denise mentioned this in sort of the invite or the Facebook link. if you have a homepage you want some tips on, maybe it's not performing as well as you'd like, go ahead and send that link over to us. We'll take a look, give you some tips. Denise and I both, and we'll let you know what we think, what we recommend.
Okay. Call to action. A lot of people were saying, yes, I need to understand how to have a good call to action.
I saw this in the poll, and so this is the button or link that takes someone who wants something from you and gives it to them, gives something to them in exchange for a piece of information, an email address, a phone number. Usually these are buttons for making an appointment. On the right, you can see one of our clients, the make an appointment button is 80% of our clients in healthcare. Like that's what you want. You want someone to make an appointment with you. Others we see like making a referral, request info, request a call. We'll go into some of those examples later. But the first and most important thing with your call to action is that it stands out. And the most important part, arguably, of standing out is contrast. That's what contrast means. And so like you want to use a color that makes sense for your business, a theme color that perseveres across your website, probably just 2 colors for your entire website and you alternate between those 2 or permutations of those 2. And the contrast of your call to action button should be such that like it's easy to see. So you can get technical and like geek out about like, okay, contrast ratio should be above 5:1. And if you're confused, go to contrastratio.com, put in 2 colors. It'll tell you what the contrast ratio is for the 2 colors you input. You want the number, the ratio, to be above 5:1. You can also use Google developer tools for this too, by right-clicking on any web element on a page, inspect, going to contrast ratio on the right side of my screen. It's important for 2 reasons. Not only does it help people like me who like can't pay attention all the time to everything, like, whoa, that's what I need to focus on. But number 2, it helps for your accessibility rating, which is a subset of that term we hate, Denise, SEO. Okay, accessibility means for people who have vision problems, can they get what they need to from your website? Right. That actually impacts your search engine rankings very slightly, but it does. So make sure your colors are good. We'll sum that section up with that. Your call to action should be short, and it should ideally include an action word, an action verb. Make an appointment, get information, enter contest, watch tips, register for event. That makes it clear for people what they need to do. But don't include too much more than that action word and what you want them to do, because it doesn't look good on mobile devices. And so you want the whole thing to be less than 20 characters. Because most web traffic today is now mobile traffic, needs to fit and look good on those small screens. And you don't want more buttons than 2 to be next to each other in any given area. Otherwise, you've got the what I call the spinach in the grocery store phenomena, where there's 20 spinach options, and you end up with no spinach and a whole basket of ice cream because there was too many spinach options. So maybe that's something I struggle with.
You're saying too much, right?
Yeah.
I think it's way too much information. Okay.
So once you have your call to action button figured out, where do you put it? For our clients, where we put it, what we like to do is at the top, where we talk about above the fold in the header, because that persists across all web pages. We also like to include direction-based call. You're a local business. People might want to get to you if you're not just doing virtual work. And so, you want a button for that, for them to get to you, as well as maybe a Facebook button. Maybe not technically a CTA as we've defined it, but also important. If you can't put it in the header, drop it like 3 different places at least on your homepage, beginning, middle, and end.
Interesting. Okay, so that, especially for those who have the homepage is really long and has all these different sections to it, you want to have it over and over and over again.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's like a balance. Too many buttons and it seems salesy. Too few buttons and no one buys anything. No one makes an appointment. Right. And you got to find out what that right balance is. That's a feel thing.
Mhm.
And then what happens when someone clicks a button? Usually what you want is them to give you some information. You want your client, your recipient, your patient to give you some information so you can help them, make an appointment, etc. Should go to a form usually, and your form should be short like everything else we've talked about. That means no more than generally 3 items, like an email, a phone number, and usually a name. There are exceptions to this. We have a referral form for some clients that you got to capture a whole bunch of information. That's a little different. It's a whole separate conversation. That's a little different situation. And you generally, in addition to the form being really short, probably when you're starting out, you don't want to put it on a separate page of your website. You probably want to actually put it on the page where you're having someone click the button, whether that's a pop-up or actually embedded in the page itself in an iframe or just native HTML is fine. So the reason is, it's like every time someone has to go to a new page on your site, there's a probability that they bounce, they leave your site. So you don't want them to have to go to many pages when you're starting out. As you grow, you actually do want that because you can capture more data, but for starting out, it's good to just keep it very simple.
Okay.
And then if you get this addition,
yeah, sorry, I'm going to jump in with a question. So my business is a little bit unique. I have 3 distinct types of people who come to our website. We have those who are corporate decision makers looking for a workplace wellness program. We have individuals looking for their own answers for health and wellness. And then we have health and wellness professionals who are looking at, is this something that I want to be a part of? So would you recommend just kind of like having little portals that they can jump through and then go to their page so you don't have too much information on the main page?
Yeah, so when you've got a larger business, you got to think about multiple stakeholders, and that becomes more difficult and nuanced. But I'll say, and without looking at it in more detail, what I can say is what often works well is just call out each one of those stakeholders somewhere on the page. Patients, click here. Referrers, click here. Parents and guardians, click here. And then it takes them to a page that addresses what they need directly. And
so
that way
everybody's not getting everything. Got it.
Exactly. And that you can give them very specific focused stuff for them. You could do this with forms too. You could have one form that, based upon a selector, redirects someone to a different form, but which looks the same to the user, but only captures what they need. For example, you might be a counselor, and you might see children, as well as you might work with their parents too. And if someone's like an adolescent, 18, 19, they can make an appointment directly with you. And you may not want to ask them for their insurance information. Like, you just get them on the phone, see if you can help. But if their parent is the one requesting information, you might want that. Like, how old is your child? What concerns do you have as a parent? And that additional information, you don't want to make it required. Again, you're getting beyond that 3-item thing, so you gotta be careful. But you can sort of tailor it to those different people just by being creative like that.
Okay.
So what are some examples? Like, we've talked a lot about this, theory stuff. Like, okay, what does this actually mean? These are some common CTAs we build for our clients, and they're successful. You have to figure out what your personality is as a business owner, and you build a call to action that fits that. If you're more, casual, upbeat, like let's chat works really well. If you've got a very behavioral health agency, you may want to just make an appointment. Get in touch can be good in some situations, but these are just some examples of different buttons you can specifically use. Feel free to steal these, modify them for your website. And if you want more tips, you might have a button or several buttons already on your website, and they may not be working. That's actually not uncommon.
Oh, yes.
So if you want more specific tips, it's like there's a huge amount of information. Go ahead and drop us an email. Tax will send you an article we wrote about appointment call to action, specifically how to get more appointments with your appointment call to action.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about reviews and reputation, it looks like.
Yes. And so this is, of all the things we talked about, it's less about technology and more about I think I just say like the psychology. It's more about like
Right.
overcoming. And so that's more like in Denise, your world. What I will talk about is how you can still use technology to get beyond some of those things. Reputation is just like number of stars, reviews, Google rating, and like mitigating trolls saying bad things about you, because that happens a lot, especially
Oh
if
my
you're looking
gosh.
at
Yeah.
addiction therapies.
Mhm. Well, okay, and it's sometimes it's honest mistakes where somebody has chosen you to write a bad review about, but it's not your business that they actually have a bad review about. Because I know with my husband's business, he's a massage therapist. He got some bad reviews on his Facebook page because they several people were claiming that they had purchased a yoga mat from him and he'd never shipped it. He doesn't sell yoga mats. And we had to go to each one of them and ask them to, could you, this is not us. Would you please take this review off? And some didn't.
Oh, wow. That's a shame. And we've seen it so many times, and it's like so much of bad reviews are often just miscommunication, like,
Yeah.
people missing one another.
Mhm.
They're important. I mean, since the invention of Amazon many years ago, everyone's using 5-star reviews for everything.
Yeah.
So, hopefully you understand that if you don't, like, it's really important. Like, you look at this slide and research, like, your business can actually be broken by bad ratings online. And it can very easily also be made by many good ratings online in this day and age.
Mhm.
There's a way to ask for it digitally that is succinct, but also kind. So when you're asking for ratings over any kind of digital mediums, this is sort of the framework we like to recommend. So if you're asking for a rating over email, using something like this, short, sweet, personal. Hey, thanks for coming in. It would help us a lot if you would just kindly leave your thoughts about your experience today. And sometimes the simple things, often simple things just work the best. So, feel free to try one of these, just literally emailing patients or clients in a secure way, a HIPAA compliant way, after appointments for ratings and reviews.
So I've noticed that there are some industry specific calendar booking systems that will automatically send out the thank you email with the we need your review, and then they'll link it up to your social media pages. Have you been seeing that as well?
There are many of these tools, and they're great to use as long as you make sure that reviews. I'll maybe skip to this section. It's like reviews get into a world of ethical dilemmas and security things. So they're good to use, especially if your EHR provides it. That's a good thing. But be careful about using an appointment booking tool that's soliciting reviews when they're not specifically focused on healthcare. The reason why, there's 4 reasons why. Oftentimes as a healthcare provider, like a counselor, you got a code of ethics that basically says you actually can't directly solicit reviews from people you just saw. And so you need to there's different ways for counselors to get ratings and reviews. If you're being shady, or if you're using a sort of a company that's giving you fake reviews, Google's going to penalize you. And then HIPAA, if you're acknowledging a patient-provider relationship, that's technically a HIPAA breach. If there's something that can tie a healthcare, and Denise, you're the expert on HIPAA, so I'm curious to hear what you add here. But as far as I know, it is like there's if you acknowledge something healthcare specific to a patient, say you're an oncologist and you're seeing, there's a good, if you're an oncologist seeing someone, they can connect the dots. If you then disclose that you are a provider of that patient, that there's this gray area of HIPAA, and you got to be careful about that. And then TCPA is a Telephone Consumer Protection Agency. Technically, you can't ask for reviews and ratings over text message or phone unless you give an opt-out, and there's other provisions you have to be careful about too. So these tools are good. Just be careful. Make sure they're workable and serviceable for your specialty. Another thing that you can do, a simple option is, launch a campaign. If you've been in business for a year or two and you've helped 100 or more people, you've got a wealth of people that would love to give you ratings and reviews, and you can use either your website's email server or independent email server like Gmail. Not a personal Gmail, but a workspace account or an Office 365 account, and send either a BCC blast to some people and ask for a rating, which I don't recommend. It hurts email deliverability, but it's a quick option. If you want to send it to like 10 people, you can get some feedback that way.
And you're saying BCC, so they're not seeing who else is receiving it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, BCC. So you put it in that, and you click the BCC line on your email and make sure everyone goes in there so that they don't see that you're sending it to one of them. That's very, very important. Thank you.
And word to the wise, send it to yourself as to the to line. Otherwise, it won't go.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a great, simple tool. You don't have to pay money for it. It's been, it's just been used for so many people that get it. It works. Another thing that you can use that actually improves email deliverability, doesn't hurt your domain authority, which is like how spammy your domain is actually use a program that shoots emails out to people in a list. SendGrid will do this, MailChimp will do this, Office 365, people don't know, will actually do this. You can use a spreadsheet and Word to do this for free today. That's a great option. Everyone gets a personalized, hey, Joe, thanks for coming in a couple weeks ago. Love it if you leave your feedback. And everyone gets their own name in each email or message, makes it a little more personalized. And then finally, some EHRs allow you to ask for reviews directly. The only problem with this I've seen is that, the patient or the client will get an email, and that email then has a button, and that button then has to direct them to a patient portal or some secure modem with the HR, and then they click that, and then they leave the review. So there's like many layers of authentication that can make it difficult for people to leave feedback. And then, if you've got, if you've got some feedback, maybe you've sent an email, you've used one of the tools that Denise has mentioned, then it's time to really look at like further automation. And so if you can find a tool, and we can share with you some of the options of vendors that will automatically allow you to get reviews, that's a good option. Use one of those. Again, HIPAA compliant. We can do this at MedKit as well to help you automatically get 5-star ratings and reviews. There are a lot of APIs that simplify. And basically, APIs are just companies that are wholesale providers of messages that ask for reviews, basically. So it's like, these services make it pretty easy to get them. You are going to need a developer to help you do that. But if you hire a developer or get a partner, you can say, hey, can we use Twilio, SendGrid, Gmail's API to ask for reviews, and a good experienced developer can build this for you.
So a question about reviews. Should the person, let's say a practitioner gets a review on their Facebook page or Yelp or wherever it may be, should they respond to it? Should they make a comment?
Ooh, that's a really good question. It's like the short answer is yes, kind of.
Okay.
And it's like, it depends on your specialty. It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to grow or you're trying to protect a brand, they're different things. If you're just starting out, it's a good idea generally to respond, but don't respond, hey, Susan, it was so good seeing you yesterday. That you've just now arguably breached HIPAA, and you don't want to do that. So
even though they said, hey, I just had an appointment with them and loved it. So err on the side of caution, as you're saying, but acknowledge them, even just to say, thank you so much for these kind words is
exactly
fine. And what about somebody who had a bad review?
Bad reviews is a whole separate topic, and it's as important because they really can hurt your business if you're not addressing them carefully. So definitely for the people on the phone, reach out to Denise. Denise and I provide you sort of like some scripts of things you can say when someone leaves a negative review. You want to, you got to be careful in that situation, very careful for, malpractice reasons, compliant reasons. I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to get into this. I don't know more than just that you have to be careful. But what I can say is you got to take action on that quick and like in a day. And if you do, and you are empathetic and you sort of check the boxes, you can remedy some of those things.
Yeah. So I want to share a story of a review of someplace where my daughter works, where this was a restaurant, so it's not a healthcare provider, but I think you're going to be able to see the alignment of it. Is somebody left a really bad review, bad service, didn't get their way. They were angry. They left in a huff. They didn't sit down. I mean, it just went on and on. You guys all know what I mean, right? And the person who does their social media saw it and had a wonderful, empathetic response of, "Oh, we're so sorry this happened. Please make sure that you contact us so that we can help you with this." And okay, it was a great response. And then the owner of the establishment saw this conversation and realized that the person who was complaining had been lying about the situation, and said, "Hold on a second, I need to step in here. And I normally wouldn't say this, but let's talk about what the true facts were. These were the facts. And we would appreciate it if you would set the record straight." Well, they didn't have to because the owner did it. But sometimes you have to step in and say, "Look, this wasn't all on us. Here's what you did to contribute to the problem," when it's warranted.
That's really interesting. Like, so you kind of have to, you got to take action and it's not that the customer's always right. They're not. The patient and the client are not always right. That you want to kind of always give them that benefit of the doubt, but that's tricky. It's outside of the world of technology, so it's outside of my world. I know that technology really can't help you much there. It's an empathetic thing. It's a personal thing. So I don't know the best way to proceed. I know what our clients have done, but what you said, Denise, that's like, that's an important thing. Like, keep in mind, making sure that the facts are told. Okay, so what other information we need to be careful or cognizant of with reviews and ratings? You can put together a program for your staff that utilizes your website to get patient reviews with self-scheduling. And this kind of alludes to what you were saying, Denise. Like, after someone's schedules an appointment, it's a great opportunity to, after that appointment, ask them for a review. And so if you want more tips on how to put together a program that involves your staff, your website, technology to get 5-star reviews, we wrote an article on this topic about incentive structures for staff, precautions, messaging. Check it out at that link. So that is pretty much the end of what the polls had us talking about, Denise. If you guys want a list of specific sites where your specialty should be thinking about getting 5-star reviews for, go ahead and email us or text us afterwards, and we can get that over to you. It's different for every specialty. Not every specialty. It's different for many specialties.
Okay. So let's go into, I want to plug what you do. I mean, you don't do just social media and website design and all that stuff. You're helping offices with HIPAA compliance. You're helping them with a whole ton of other things, the electronic health records. But you tell us, give me your sales pitch. As why would a health and wellness professional want to seek you out and talk to you about the services that you offer?
So I will go back to like one of the first slides, but like I've been in healthcare IT for a decade, and I love healthcare. I've always loved it. I want to fix things. I love fixing things. I love working with healthcare business owners. It is my passion. I've worked in it from the growth side as a web developer and as a project manager. So I've seen all the different ways all the different sides of technology and how it interfaces with healthcare. what I saw at the different places that I worked is that healthcare providers were overwhelmed. Like burnout is this big thing, and providers often don't have time to see patients. And I often realized that I felt like I was contributing to that problem. Here's another tool, here's another app, here's another widget, another username and password. And I was like, man, couldn't we just build a service where we're real people that just take that off of your plate, set up and use the technology, which you own, by the way, so you can focus on patient care.
Oh,
and
wonderful.
that's our model. That's basically what we do.
Okay. So what screen are you going back to or trying to find?
I'm so bad at navigating these slides.
Okay,
trying to get back to the
stop there. That's a good one. So we don't have to tell you to hit the rewind button, guys. So oops, you lost it. I'm looking for your contact information.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I gotta go back to the About Us. Here we go. Here we go. Next one, contact information.
There we go. Stop there. That's perfect. So for those of you who are watching this, whether it be on the YouTube recording or on our Facebook Live, and I'm going to go ahead and stop your sharing now, John, so it's just you and I on the screen. I'm going to suggest have a consultation with him, find out what he's doing for different types of health and wellness practices. And you work with chiropractors, health coaches, medical doctors.
Yep.
Who all?
Massage therapists, chiropractors, rural health centers, behavioral health agencies, you mentioned counselors. Whether you're just building a physical therapist, whether you're just building a business and you're trying to there's often not a lot of resource for you and on the tech side of things, or you've got an established business and you're trying to increase, accessibility for patients and get more appointments and help more people. We can help you. So, but got to be a healthcare provider, got to be a healthcare professional. We get asked, do you help nonprofits or do you help? No, we only help healthcare professionals and healthcare providers. Okay,
awesome. Any last comments that you want to make?
No. I mean, Denise, love the service you provide. The community of healthcare and wellness providers is such a need in today's age, and I hope more people realize that's something that they need to be a part of.
Fantastic. And for those of you who are watching this, I'm going to actually share my screen real quick. I want to just let you know that You Define Wellness does an awful lot besides just these town hall meetings. And you're seeing the business side of my Facebook page. But I encourage you to go to our Facebook page at You Define Wellness. Search for us. You'll find it. So no problems whatsoever. Go to the events section. We have things going on. As an example, in addition to this wonderful town hall that John is doing with me later today, we also have one of our new talk shows where we're using the power of Facebook Live to do internet-based talk shows. And today we are doing the Toxin Tuesday with Kathy McCarty with Meth Toxins Awareness Alliance. It's her show that I do with her. And we're bringing in a speaker every single week to help educate people about toxins. But we also have other events coming up. We have a wonderful health fair that's going to happen, wellness fair, next month, February 17th and 18th, and you will find that information on our page as well. So check our Facebook page for our events. We've got a lot of stuff that we're doing for you guys. Almost everything is free. There's a few things that are not, but our commitment is to support you as independent health and wellness professionals and the community in their search as they're on their walking their wellness path. So with that being said, John, I'm going to say thank you so much for doing this with me today. This has been the start of a partnership of working together, supporting each other's communities. And I appreciate the opportunity to share your knowledge with everyone in our universe and with your universe, learning more about us as well. So for those who are from John's universe, you can contact me through our Facebook page. I'd love to chat with you as well. So John, thank you. We hope that we can see you on another town hall at some point in time on another subject, because your expertise is fantastic.
Thank you, Denise. Likewise, holds true for us too. I'm looking forward to it.